Hey, Rainy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel, where if you've been following along, every month we've been diving into a different genre and checking out 10 records from that specific genre to encapsulate that month. And now, of course, we just closed out Rocktober, where throughout the month of October, we listened to nothing but rock albums. Now, of course, we're jumping in to November. We're a little bit late, but that's okay, better late than never, and we will catch all 10 albums hopefully by the end of the month. If not, we'll bleed a little bit into December. But still, this is November still. We are doing November Punk. Funny enough, I had no intentions to do a punk month. I was actually going to do New Wave November, but as we approached November, I realized that it'd be hard to pick 10 New Wave records that I haven't yet heard that I felt would be justifiable enough for a whole series. So I thought, hey, let's extend the New Wave a little bit and go right into punk, which is kind of related to New Wave anyway, so it kind of works. But of course, Punk November, here we are, kicking it off with an album I have somehow avoided despite being a Clash fan. I've listened to their debut, I've listened to Combat Rock, but I've never listened to today's record, and that of course being their magnum opus to many, London Calling. Now, London Calling is just over an hour long, an hour and 5 minutes to be exact, 19 tracks, and contains some of their biggest, most well-renowned hits. I'm pretty excited to check out how the entire thing holds up, but of course, let's kick it off with that opener here, the title track, London Calling. Bam. Now, of course, I have heard this one, but I've never paid too much attention to this one, so this will be almost kind of a new track to me. Kind of has like an eeriness to it. A little dig at the Beatles. Oh, like the ringing guitar there. I want to say real quick though, Mr. Joe Strummer, the lead vocalist, I feel like is very hit or miss for some people. I've talked to some people about The Clash, and I've had people tell me that they just can't stand his vocals. I, for one, like his vocals. I think it fits the punk aesthetic quite perfectly. So, for me, this is doing it for me. He sounds great. He's got a lot of charisma, and he really sings what he feels. His lyrics and his performance on them never feels like a farce. So, true punk. There's that. Kind of a dizzying arrangement. The instrumental is very dizzying in its performance. Oh, that guitar. Very cyclical guitar, very kind of drony and psychedelic, one might say. All right. Let's go into brand new Cadillac. London Calling, I mean, it's a classic opening track. Not too much to say. It really sets the tone for the LP, and it's got a great rhythm, super catchy, super fun, but also has a nice kind of call to action feel to it, true to typical punk. But here's brand new Cadillac. I don't know anything about this record, this track here, I should say. Kind of a that guitar in the background, maybe the bass, has like a surf rock kind of motif to it. Hear that? It's like a blend of surf rock and punk. Is surf punk a thing? What it's going for here. Very groovy. And a nice raw tonality to it. Great track. Nice punchiness to it. Nice surf rock tone. Really blended into the punk rock aesthetic. But also, it's a quick track. 2 minutes. You know, I like one thing about punk music, a lot of punk music, is they typically have very kind of fast-paced, quick bursts of energy, usually about 2 minutes in length on average. Some are shorter, some are longer, but typically you don't see a long, extended punk track, at least in my experience with the punk genre. And I've listened to many punk records. In the background, we've actually got Minor Threat, Out of Step, and X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence, which are both really great records that primarily use pretty short runtimes, especially, of course, Minor Threat, which is a hardcore punk band, which we will cover some hardcore punk in this month, of course, because it is a very strong and important aspect of punk music, especially in the 80s and early 90s. But carrying on, we've got Jimmy Jazz. Just wanted to take a quick moment to appreciate these two incredible rock albums. Back to the Clash. I like the ambient kind of conversing in the background there. Just like the effects. This one's a bit slower.
Police walked in for Jimmy Jazz. I said he ain't here, but he sure went past. Oh, you're looking for Jimmy Jazz.
I like this one. It's a bit gentler. Ooh. That thick bass. This is a good track. I like how laid back it is. Ooh. That's Mick Jones there. Oh. We got some horns in here. Adding a nice little jazzy element to Mr. Jimmy Jazz here. Where is he? This one's really grooving. It's really oh. I love just the atmosphere of this track, very light. And those horns. It's got to be the sax coming in. Not sure who, but someone here's doing a great job. That nonchalant kind of punk attitude still coming through, despite the rest of the track feeling very not punk. Ooh, I like that. Alright, that's a great track. Loved how catchy that one was. Ooh, this one just picked up the pace here. Jimmy Jazz, kind of jazzy, down tempo, really relaxed. Just a fun, accessible and easy listening sort of track. I loved it. Let's go into Hateful. This is a little song about friendship. I got a friend who's the man who keeps me from the lonely. He gives me what I need. This is about friendship. What a sweet sentiment. Who cares about those friends? Gotta see that one best friend. Now that part confused me. Not for free. Is this this friend a drug, perhaps? A drug problem? That's why he's lost all these friends? Very sad twist. Here I was thinking it was a nice wholesome song about friends, but I'm thinking now it might be about drugs. Painful, grateful for these drugs. It's not free. It seems to be some sort of toxic energy. His friends have left him as well. So maybe this friend is a drug addiction.
I'm so grateful to be nowhere.
All right. That was Hateful, gotta say. Just as catchy as ever. The Clash, always blending very catchy rhythms and just like upbeat tempos with, you know, some strong messages. Seems like Hateful was about this friend who I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this friend was a drug itself, you know, a drug addiction, it seems, because he paints it almost as like this good, great thing, but in the end, it seems to be more negative rather than a positive. Let's go into Rudy Can't Fail.
Sing, Michael, sing. On the roof of the 19th bird.
Oh. A little bit of a like reggae kind of element to this one. Something about that kind of groove feeling, kind of reggae infused. Which, to be fair, they have not strayed away from before. They have a few reggae cuts themselves. You know, kind of embracing that sound and style of the '70s on their debut. I like these backup vocals from Mick Jones here. Or is that Paul Simonon? Ooh, those horns there. Again, nice like upbeat kind of a reggae flair with those horns there. Oh. Very buried vocals. Get kind of a phasey effect there too on the instrumental. This one's kind of like anthemic. That chant. Oh, and I love the horn work. Reminded me of, I make this comparison a lot, but maybe it's because I'm such a fan. Reminded me of some early David Bowie with those horns, like a Hunky Dory era. Great track about drinking, it would seem. When we got drugs, next we got drinking. Let's go into Spanish Bombs. Another quite popular one. This one sounds familiar. Ooh, a little bit of Spanish. Didn't expect that. Guess I should have with the title. I feel like I've heard this track sampled or interpreted from some other artist. I'm not too sure, but something about that guitar work feels very reminiscent of something else. Just like that melody. Man, The Clash write some incredible melodies. Just super catchy and fun. But also doesn't feel like it's trying hard to be anything, you know, super showboaty or over the top. It feels very relatable and kind of down in the gutter, but still just really great tunes. The mark of great musicians. That sounds familiar. It's driving me crazy. I wonder what it is. Carrying on, let's go into the right profile here, which seems to be not as popular of a track. At only 8 million compared to some of the others.
Say, where did I see this guy?
Oh, those horns coming in strong, continuing
Or a place in the sun.
that energy. Very brassy, very thick sound.
Here to the tunnel. Everybody say, what's he like? Everybody say, sure look funny. That's that Montgomery Clift, honey. I see a car.
Very character focused, this album, it would seem. This Montgomery Clift, a real character. Perhaps another addict or a dealer. Maybe someone they've seen in the punk scene. I will say we're at 2 minutes. Only negative is perhaps a bit repetitive. A little bit of a solo here. Oh. A drummer too. A little sneak in there, top her head in. Oh. I'm not sure which sax we've got here, but whoever it is, belting it out. Oh. Getting kind of dumb on drugs, it would seem, on these pills. I like this one quite a bit, actually. Repetitive, perhaps, maybe a bit too long, but that solo really takes it away. Let's go on to Lost in the Supermarket, a popular track, 60 million. I've heard this one, but again, it's not one of my go-to Clash tracks. It's not one that I have frequented. So it's almost fresh to me. I love how rapid the tempo is on a lot of this album. Especially that percussion. I like how hushed the vocals are. Maybe a critique on capitalism here. Or suburban life. Paul Simonon too on that bass. He's got a nice deep bassy tone that runs quite nicely underneath the rest of the mix. But it's got a nice groove to it. I'm a big bass guy, and I love what he's kind of doing in the background there. Kind of a galloping kind of bass. Along with the rest of the tempo, to be honest, that percussion. This one's just got a great groove, very kind of lax despite the fast tempo. That bass. I like that. That bass is just kind of cascading. But even everything else, that drumming, the guitar work, performance-wise, everything about this track is fantastic. A classic, a banger, kind of down-tempo. And I gotta say, one thing I'm digging about this album so far is the great blend of different genres here. You know, it's not all pure punk. And I believe this came, I think this is their second record. Could be wrong, but no, it would seem this was their third record after Give 'Em Enough Rope. But just kind of crazy to see how massive this album feels in comparison to their debut, which I am a pretty big fan of this one as well. Especially the track. Sorry to get sidetracked here. Police and Thieves. Incredible track. But yeah, the blend of genres here, the overwhelming kind of array of style and tone throughout this album has been fantastic. Let's go into Clamp Down. And it's very rapid on the instrumentals. And they play with vocals greatly. Very punchy. Got like a brutal hitting sound to it. There's that classic punk ethos. Anti-government. Oh! What a stylistic switch here. The government wants to take it all away from you. Oh. They don't wanna work it for the man. Very anti-work song. Anti-authority. But a great track about trying to escape the evils of capitalism and the establishment that want you to work away your good years, your young years. And for what? To grow old and retire, I guess. But let's go into the Guns of Brixton. Clampdown was great. Really, nothing negative to say about this album so far. Just very diverse. This one here, another popular track at 60 million streams again. And another one that, again, I've heard many times in passing, but never paid attention to. The only one I continue to listen to, I will say, is Train in Vain. So most of this is fresh. This has got a very ominous, dark atmosphere to it. A little bit of a reggae flair. And the groove. That rocking groove. Ooh. What is that weird like spring effect? Like boing. What's going on there? Joe Strummer got a Woody, as they may say. That effect is really hard to take seriously. Very bizarre. Not sure what this track's about. Call to Arms. Oh, it's sung by Paul Simonon. I didn't even catch that. Completely change in singer. But again, right here, song is a strong reggae influence, which I caught. And I have said that The Clash, when they do their reggae kind of tracks, I'm all for it. I love reggae. I'm a big fan now, especially after we did Jamaican June earlier this year. Love reggae music. Incredible genre. Very underrated genre. And having gotten into it so heavily this year, and I'm still listening to reggae. Just bought some reggae records the other day, actually. I gotta say, hearing it with The Clash, it's a nice blend of reggae, a nice blend of punk, which the two really go hand in hand, considering the very political nature of both genres. But carrying on, let's go into Rongamboyo. Really kicks off with shouting on these vocals. Ooh. Backstabbed by a friend. Oh. A classic switch up. Ooh. Is this like, are we going into ska? This is like a ska punk track in a way? Are we doing some ska punk? I would like to this month. Maybe it's teases what's to come. Oh, this is 100% a bit of a ska punk influence, although very ahead of its time. So catchy, can't even grasp all the lyrics. I'm just so into the ska-ness. Oh. Great track, very funky. Let's go to Death or Glory. Rongamboyo. A little bit of a birth of ska punk, perhaps. Proto ska punk. Seems to be about a bitter, angry man here. Some nice little humor slid into the lyrics there. Definitely a critique on those who make false claims, perhaps. Here he commented on rock stars who refuse to sell out but later do inevitably as part of the industry, really. Really like invigorating sound. But nothing too much to say about this one. It's just a really great groove, great rhythm. Once again. Kind of challenging, it would seem. Hypocrites, perhaps. Let's go into Coca-Cola. A quick one, minute 47.
In the gleaming corridor of the 51st floor, the money can be made if you really want some more. Executive decision, a clinical precision, jumping from the windows filled with indecision. I get good advice from the advertising world.
Lots of kind of silly satirical humor, it would seem.
So freeze, man, freeze. It's the pause that refreshes in the corridors of power. When top men need a top up long before the happy hour. Your snakeskin suit and your alligator boot. You don't need a long that you can take it to the vet. I get my advice from the advertising world. Treat me nice as the party girl. Go get live where there isn't any, so freeze, man, freeze. Coca-Cola advertising and cocaine, strolling down the Broadway in the rain. Neon.
Despite being only a minute and 47, we've really taken many detours instrumentally on this track already. So many different switch ups in the instrumental. But it's super fast.
They're crazy. Yes, suit your life. Maybe so in the White House. I know all over Berlin. They do it for years. And in Manhattan.
A critique on
Coming through the door is the slum those 44. The barrel
advertising,
it can spatter on the
maybe.
floor. Your eyeballs feel like pinballs and your tongue feels man, freeze. Hit the deck.
Very fun track, but man, does it just hit you over the head with so many different switch ups. Here's the card sheet. This has got a bit of a, maybe it's just those bells that remind me of Christmas. Clearly not intentional, but where my brain goes. Very kind of depressing tone in a lot of these tracks here. A few songs already commenting on loneliness, it would seem. There's a sadness that runs through a lot of these tracks. And a lot of commentary on drug use and addiction. Oh, those horns coming back. Really elevated. Still not sure how I feel about this one. This might be a hot take, but one of my least favorites so far on the LP. Yeah, definitely one of my least favorites so far. I mean, it's catchy, it's fun. I don't really have anything like overtly negative to say about it per se. But I do think, you know, it feels like kind of just more of the same. That one just didn't hit me as hard as some of these other tracks. But that's okay. I mean, hey, 14 tracks in, and the first track to really not impress me as much as the others. Not, you know, get me grooving and moving as much as the others, that's fine. You know, that's a pretty good run. But let's go into Lovers Rock, which I believe is a genre in itself of the reggae tone that was more prominent in the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe this is kind of leading into that. Here's Lovers Rock. There's a subgenre about kind of love. Ooh, I like that dialed back. Oh, getting quite sexual with these lyrics, perhaps.
When you make lovers rock, whoops, that goes rock. I tell you why lover takes off his clothes, and he can make that lover in 1,000 goes. And she don't need that.
I like how sweet this one is. I think I know what you mean, Joe. This one a bit more rock oriented. More traditional rock, I should say, with this guitar solo. Oh. Oh. Man, this album is so incredibly diverse and just like rich in instrumentation with how much it switch ups. Great arrangement on this one. So many effects coming in. That whistle, that kind of spinny effect there. There it is. Kind of like one of those weird shaker toys. Man, that one was funky. That one was fun. That one was sweet in its sentiment. Let's go to Four Horsemen.
Well, they were given the crown. They're never gonna ride a lonely mile. I put yourself up on the trial. Oh, you fool me, oh, your life is so bad. And I agree that it does seem sad.
Jesus.
And that's the price that you gotta pay. Lazing all around all day.
The Four Horsemen, like multiple sins, perhaps, that kind of hold this person back, perhaps? I don't know. That percussion, like a galloping horse itself. Four Horsemen, another one that didn't do too much for me. Very rapid, but I feel like a lot of these tracks kind of deliver on that. It didn't offer anything too unique. That being said, I will say lyrically, some of these tracks are a little bit more vague, and maybe I'm just kind of missing the main messages of the track. Let's go into I'm Not Down. I will say though, just based on the sonic level, Four Horsemen didn't do too much for me. But again, pretty large album, so a couple tracks that are a bit miss. Not the biggest crime. I don't know why this one kind of reminded me of like a early Talking Heads track. At least that did. Oh, like bongos or something too in the background. This is about the ones at the bottom, you know, the poor perhaps, who despite not having wealth, maybe are rich in spirit, or maybe they're able to take the punches of life, continue to get up and rise despite the troubles. Oh my goodness. Down to the bottom of the barrel. Kind of like the punk version of That's Life by Frank Sinatra. You know, you take the punches, you get back up. Life will always send you another upward trajectory, but it will knock you down once again. That's the whole thing, right? Up and down in life. You just gotta have the strength to keep going. Whew. I like that. I like the message of that one. Very sweet. And something to remember. Revolution Rock is this one. Right back to the kind of reggae influences. Oh yeah, for sure, with that bass line coming in. And a call to action in true reggae punk fashion. Even the way he's singing. Very reggae. Maybe a bit culture vulture-y, but we'll let it slide. It was the 70s. And maybe unlike, you know, culture vultures, if we're going to get on that topic, they definitely appreciate the genre of reggae, for sure. I don't feel like they're trying to rip it off. It feels like they're trying to honor it here, and they do a great job. As always, the Clash, you know, they're raw. They do a great job capturing a specific sound and style without feeling like they're just trying to mimic the greats. They're certainly carving out their own aesthetic within it. And this, like, just a nice, groovy, reggae-infused punk track. And those horns are nice. And I love how deep that bass is. Do 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 do. I love that bass. It's so warm. It really lays the groundwork. Like a classic reggae track. And that guitar, nice and rockin'. There's that organ. I was just looking at it, wondering where it was, but heard it for a brief moment. Whoa. The way it phases out kind of reminds me of some classic dub records. This feels like a finale of a track, a closing track, one might say. And yeah, it's not. Very grand. Really fun, epic track, very grand track. And let's go to Train in Vain, Stand By Me. there's nothing to say about this track. I actually think this might be one of the best tracks I've heard in the entire punk canon, if we're considering it punk, and also one of the best songs perhaps of the 70s. This is a classic. This is a banger. It's 143 million streams. Maybe to some it's too popular, it's too big, but I don't know. This thing, I mean, let's just get into it. There's nothing more to say. There's no introductory. Oh, it just sounds great. It's Train in Vain. It's got a nice swinging sort of momentum to it. Heartbroken. Track of Broken Heart. Classic sentiments. I'm wearing a jacket and I'm getting chills from this track. That's how good this song is. And goosebumps. It's just like the harmonica too in the background there that feels kind of phased out, a little warbled, adds so much depth. It don't pay. Somewhere to stay. Like this pleading here, this bargaining aspect. Maybe a demand for closure in true heartbreak fashion. Even that part comes right at the end. That like spiked harmonica. And yet it phases out. It's not even a key aspect of the track yet. It's so catchy. It's so interesting. It's such a bold decision. What a fun track. What a great track to close things out. It seems my Spotify wants to play Germ-Free Adolescence by X-Ray Specs next, which would be a fire track to play, but that's it for today's video. That's it for The Clash, London Calling. Let's talk about it. Incredibly diverse album. An hour and 5 minutes, and it is honestly pretty much justified for its runtime. Yes, there are a couple tracks here, The Card Sheet and Four Horsemen, that to me didn't do too much. I feel like they kind of went in one ear and out the other. But again, this is a first listen. Maybe those tracks will grow on me. But even still, a 19-track album, over an hour in length, and only 2 tracks were not as strong to me as some of the other tracks here. That's not a bad ratio whatsoever. Train in Vain, obviously, an incredible track, an incredible closer, revolution rock, super fun, super funky, very reggae infused. And I gotta say, the album as a whole has a lot of really great reggae moments, and The Clash honors the genre of reggae without butchering it, without feeling like they're trying to steal or mimic a much bigger artist, such as obviously like Bob Marley or Peter Tosh. Instead, it feels like they're just trying to do their own sort of niche, specific reggae punk style, and it works. It works great because punk music is very politically charged, very against the government, against the man, and of course, reggae music is very much the same way, very anti-establishment, against the government, against the man. A great melding of the two genres, really. But I gotta say, there's nothing negative for me to really point at this album. It is really well produced. It is very fun. It is their most diverse work by a landslide, I would say, at least for me. And despite the fact that it's over an hour, it honestly withstands its entire runtime by being super just catchy, super accessible, and honestly just an overall very fun, enjoyable listen. Perhaps one of the most fun punk records you can listen to, because they have a great sense of melody, and at the end of the day, they're great musicians in a genre that is kind of known for being primitive in its sound. Not a bad thing, but it's crazy how, despite the fact that the genre is known for being basic, as one might say, there is so much creativity and inventiveness with a band like The Clash. Really says a lot about how much you can do if you were just a very talented musician, which of course this band is full of talented musicians. But that does it for today's video. If you like the video, please hit like, subscribe to follow along and listening to more punk records. My hat here is falling off, but that's okay. The next video we are going to do, the next album we are going to cover in the November Punk series is going to be none other than the 1994 record, I think it is, Green Day's Dookie. Never listened to Dookie. What a funny name. But I have listened to American Idiot. Actually did it on this channel a couple years ago. Loved American Idiot. I listened to their newest record, Saviors. Really enjoyed that. And Insomniac is an album of theirs that I listened to a few tracks from that I thoroughly enjoy. So Dookie, a classic Green Day record, I feel like the one that most people recommend to listen to, I've never listened to. So let's cover it on the channel for the next album. But as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.